I was 12 years old and brought up in a small village inside Siberia. My parents were very poor and told my sister and I that they didn't have enough food for both of us to make it through the winter. I didn't quite understand what they meant, but the next day, my dad told me to follow him into the forest. We walked for 2 days, deeper and deeper through the endless Siberian wilderness. I asked my dad where we were going, but he wouldn't tell me. At one point, we stopped, and my dad said, "Take some rest under the tree." I lay down, and exhausted from our long walk, I quickly fell asleep. When I woke up again, my dad was gone, and the night was at its darkest. I heard wolves howl not far away and climbed up the tree I had slept under to be safe from the creatures on the ground. I waited for 1 whole week, hoping my dad would come back and take me home. But he didn't, and each day winter came closer. I knew I had to find my parents or I would die. My clothes were so thin, there was no way I'd survive the snow. I decided to just start walking, even though all directions looked the same. After a week my feet hurt so much, I took a 2-day rest near a river. But then I heard a noise from something coming towards me. Was it my dad? Or was it some animal? I laid down flat, waiting to see what it was. A big brown bear appeared. It was sniffing and had caught my smell, because it was walking right towards me. I stood up and ran to the closest tree and climbed it. I thought I was safe, because I didn't know bears could climb trees, but they can, and much better than humans. My only advantage was me being lighter than him. So I went to the highest and thinnest branch I could reach, but the bear was very hungry, and followed me right to the top. It was less than a meter away, and the whole tree was bending dangerously. But suddenly, I was close enough to a nearby tree and swung myself over there. I landed safely even though I suffered many scratches. Meanwhile, the branch I had jumped off swung back and caused the bear to lose its balance. He fell all the way down, at least 12 meters. I could see it was still moving, but it was unable to stand up again. That was my chance. I went to the ground, took the biggest stone I could pick up, and went to the bear. I saw the fear in its eyes. The small girl had won against the beast. Smash. Afterward, I found a sharp stone, and for 3 days, I skinned the bear. It gave me a nice pelt to keep me warm during the cold nights, and I turned my old shirt into a bag to carry the bear's meat. Then I continued to walk for weeks and weeks, not seeing a single other human being. By now it was November, and snow was laying everywhere. The only thing that kept my feet from freezing were the shoes I'd made from the bear's pelt. As I continued walking, the landscape changed from endless forests to endless grasslands. I had no more bear meat, and I was close to starvation. But then I saw a weird-looking tent. I went to its door and said, "Hello," in Russian. An old woman came out. She looked different and said something in her own language. Then she brought me inside and fed me bread and cheese. This is where my life with the Mongolian nomads began. Within a few months, I learned to speak their language and became part of their family. They treated me well, but I also learned that they had planned to marry me to their son. But I didn't like their son. He was a mean bully who enjoyed stealing the eggs of birds and throwing them against stones. Sometimes he even pulled my hair if I did something he didn't like. I knew the only way to escape my planned marriage was to run away. Luckily, I'd found a map at the shop of a nearby village. It was a map of all of Asia, and there, I learned that I had walked more than 1,200 miles from my Siberian village to the Mongolian nomads. I bought the map from the shop, and while it was night, I snuck out of my tent. I took 1 cheese wheel with me, and stole 1 horse to bring me back home. But after 3 days of riding the horse, we reached the endless Siberian wilderness, and it struggled to walk through the dense forest. That's why I let it go, and continued to wander on my own. Now all I had was my map, my cheese, and a spear I had made to defend myself in case another bear attacked me. But with my map, it took me less than 3 weeks to find my way back to my home village. Tears came to my eyes when I saw my parents' small wooden hut. I was nervous seeing them again, because I didn't know if my parents wanted me back. I opened the door anyway, and I saw both my parents sitting on 2 wooden chairs. They looked so much older, and when they noticed me, my mom said, "Who are you?" I said, "It's me, Anna, your daughter." My mother jumped up and said, "Anna?" I ran up to her and gave her a long hug. I said, "I missed you so much." But then I turned to my dad, the man that had abandoned me in the wild. I saw he had tears in his eyes, and then he said, "I'm so sorry for what I've done." I had never seen my father cry, and I knew that he really was sorry. I asked him where my sister was, and he said she didn't make it through the winter. Then he brought me to her gravestone. I broke down and cried. I had lost my sister and my best friend. The next few days, my dad kept apologizing for what he had done to me, but I forgave him because I knew he didn't have another choice. Had I stayed with them, I would have ended up like my sister. I lived with my parents for 3 more years until I turned 17. But because we barely had money or food, we decided I should move to Moscow. For a few weeks, I worked as a waitress, but soon I found a better job working as a model. Suddenly, I was making enough money to afford going to university. And right now, I'm studying English and planning to move to a Western country someday. I just want a secure job that pays enough to have my own family, and that allows me to send some money back to my parents.